I'm going to try and look professional here. Thank you very much thank you to everyone who subscribed to me. Obviously, earlier this week, I think it was Tuesday morning, something along those lines, I put out a video saying, get some questions down here away for a 1,000 subscriber Q&A when I can get my words out. And I recently put a poll on Twitter as a recording, probably about within the last half an hour, asking if you wanted it to done tonight. And only 15 people voted, but I thought the consensus looked enough anyway. 87% of them voted yes. So apologies to those who voted no, but you're getting it anyway. First of all, thank you very much for submitting questions. I've spent time writing them down. Some questions were a little bit similar, and apologies, the order of this is going to be disjointed completely, but I don't really care. I'm quite happy to do a Q&A. I've wanted to do one, but I needed to wait until a good occasion, obviously. So without further ado, let's get some questions. I asked it across all platforms, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and YouTube. I don't think I got any off Facebook, but my memory's hazy on that, after I've just written down a lot of questions. I got one on Instagram, which I'll get to now, actually. Peter James 73 on Instagram. Celtic or Rangers? I would have said Celtic just because of Brendan Rodgers, but if I had to pick now, probably Rangers. And then obviously I asked for Twitter and YouTube. So YouTube, there was quite a few questions, actually, more than I thought there were going to be. So let's get into it. So apologies in advance if I butcher anyone's names or if I read the question or misinterpreted it from how you asked it originally. And the same with Twitter, actually. But thank you again for sending the questions. So here we go. The first one, Rachel Wood. Are you happy with Parkinson? I don't know why I'm doing this. I'm not unhappy, put it that way. He's not my first. He wouldn't have been my first choice. I did a reaction for this on SFC Fan TV. If you go and check out that channel, it's pretty much up now. Even though I didn't really talk about it very much. I think Parkinson is someone who's got out of this league before. He's someone who, I think it was with Colchester and especially Bolton. When you look at the circumstances with Bolton, he basically didn't have pretty much didn't have any resources to work with. And obviously here, I know some people are questioning Donald Methven massively at the moment, but I do think there's definitely better circumstances here than there were at Bolton. So I think if Parkinson can do well, then why not? Why not? If he gets promoted, I don't really care how we do it. His style of play, some people have criticised his style of play. But to me, if he gets us promoted, I don't really care. I'll back him, and I think majority of Sunderland fans will, as long as we see something on the pitch to shout about. Thane SCFC, congrats mate, cracking channel, keep up the good work. Thanks very much. And by the way, check out Thane SCFC because I like his content regarding Sunderland. I liked his previews, his reviews. He's obviously done something about Phil Parkinson getting appointed. I like what he's doing. I like what you're doing yourself, mate. Keep it up. He says, sorry, do you think Sunderland will be back in the Premier League in the next 3 to 5 years? I hope so. I don't. First of all, we've got to get out of this league, haven't we? I think that getting promoted to the Championship isn't necessarily the issue. I think Sunderland's got a squad to do it, and hopefully Phil Parkinson does it. The thing for me is that the Championship, it depends if we get external investment or not. I think if we don't get investment and Donald and Methven stay in charge of the club, it's going to take quite a while to even remotely consider the possibility of Premier League football back at the Stadium of Light, which is the division I think we should be in as a club given our size and stature, but it doesn't work like that, unfortunately. I think that if we got taken over, I'd put it this way, I think if we got promoted this season, I would think that I'd be happy to accept a couple of years consolidation in the Championship, and by consolidation I also mean trying to build towards aiming for promotion. That's the one on the lines I'd go with. I think that if we were to get back in the Premier League in the next 3 to 5 years, I think that's a pretty big achievement. At the minute, I don't think so, but we'll wait and see. I think Premier League's going to be a long way off, unfortunately. Thanks anyway, though, man. Chinward. Have you had any negative reactions from people in real life towards you because you do YouTube, such as Mags or anyone being negative? No, I had one person who recognised me and said, what an effing freak. So if you're watching that, thanks very much, because you're actually giving me another view and you actually get me more recognition. Thanks, man. Apart from that, idiot, no, I haven't had any negative reaction. I very rarely get recognised. That's obviously because I'm probably the least popular Sunderland YouTuber out there. Which is fine. If I'm least popular, I've got over 1,000 subscribers, despite the fact I just basically pretty much do what I'm doing now, put my face in front of a camera and just talk for about 3 minutes. Then I'm not really bothered about that. 1,000 subscribers is something I never thought I'd do. But nevertheless, no, apart from that, I haven't. Everyone I've come up to has been positive. In fact, there was a guy of little story actually. When we watched Middlesbrough beat Sunderland 2-0 under Chris Coleman in the FA Cup, the game was garbage. I wasn't really that bothered about the result, but it was still kind of a waste of a journey almost. But there was a lad in a wheelchair, and I hope he doesn't mind me saying this. I'm not going to say his name, but he came up to me and basically said that he watched my YouTube videos, and him saying that alone made the day worth it. So thanks very much, mate. And you actually came up to me after I went swimming earlier, so thanks very much. I appreciate that. Other than that guy I've just mentioned, though, no. Right, okay, I think I'm going to get at least one of these two names wrong. Both of these guys kind of asked a similar question. Well, they both asked questions before Parkinson was appointed of who I wanted as manager, and they were FG John Clennell and Richard Healy. They both basically asked who I wanted as manager. So what I'm going to spin that question a little bit and said, who would I have wanted as manager? So apologies, guys, I've reworded the question, but you know it's not as relevant. It's partly my fault that it's not as relevant because I took too long doing this, I suppose. I said along Daniel Stendel would have been my choice. I think either him or Gareth Ainsworth. I think a lot of people were negative towards Ainsworth. I think it's more just because I'd have had him because I think he would have made us a bit nastier to play against. I don't mean in terms of physical size. I mean a bit more aggression, a bit more, a bit dirtier to some extent. And he's got Wycombe Wanderers to second. And apparently those who say his football is very good, I'll have to wonder if those Sunderland fans saying that are judging it just based on when they played us down at their place last year. I think that Wycombe's, from what I'm seeing from the Wycombe end, their football's been quite good this season. He's got them second, no coincidence. But Daniel Stendel, I think he would have got us playing decent football. We have a similar type setup of players in terms of build of players than what Barnsley had last year. Now, I know Barnsley were much better than us defensively, but I mean, Barnsley didn't have the most physical side. They were quite technical players. Certainly the game, I mean, I watched half a dozen Barnsley games last year, so Barnsley fans can inform me more of that. But and I think Stendel, and I would love to have seen Stendel get us promoted, and had he got us into the Championship, I would have loved to have seen him be backed as well. Because remember, the reason he's struggling at Barnsley is because the board sold a few players behind his back, or basically sold his better players and didn't give him the funds to replace them. But thank you both for the similar question. Okay, Jack Broom. Oh, actually, I was writing these questions down earlier. Now, obviously, Jack Broom's comment was quite long-winded, but I did basically got the gist. He said, would you agree that half our fan base don't know what they actually want? And obviously, he's referring to the fact that we wanted a change of manager. Well, now it looks like we're getting Phil Parkinson, and some people have been threatening Stuart Donald, hence why he's come off Twitter. I've still got a cold, by the way, so apologies if I sound sniffly. I do think that when it comes down to the fan base, I think some of them probably want a bit too much with regards to the league that we're in. Some of them probably do need to recognise that we are still a League One club, but at the same time, I'm of the opinion that I think that in terms of size and stature, we're accustomed to better than League One, so therefore there's a rightful expectation there to get promoted. I think most of it comes from some fans. I mean, obviously some fans have legitimate concerns, and as long as they're respectful towards other people's opinions, I've got no problem with that. But I do think that, you know, come on, guys, we weren't the manager we get, and we weren't exactly going to get a fancy name. Pardon me, Stendel was probably the most fanciest name we could have got, really. So I think at the end of the day, we all want someone to get promoted, and ultimately, I think that's what everything boils down to: the desperation to get promoted out of this league. We can't be in this league for another season after this one, and hopefully we won't be. Okay, the next one. It's Bobby Cowley. Been sub since you had 500. Thank you very much, man. Really appreciate that. How long will it take to get back the Premier League? Well, this was kind of similar to Thane's question, really. It's probably my fault for not structuring it properly. I think it would probably take, well, maybe about at least 4 or 5 seasons, probably. But it depends. That would have to have everything going well. Because remember, even though we get a bunch of money, we have to sign the right players. We have to have an identity, and we have to have players who fit that identity, a manager who fits the identity, and then have them hopefully get together well. We'd have to have quite a bit of luck going our way as well. John Millie, England win the World Cup or Sunderland win the Premier League? Sunderland win the Premier League, no question. I think England in the World Cup 2018 did very well to sort of reunite England fans again, but for me, Sunderland win Premier League all day long. Next one, Taffy Mackham. Oh, here we go. Now, he's got 3 questions, so he's kind of cheated there, but wait till I get to Jam Sarni's later. Yes, referring to you, mate. 3 questions. SCFC promoted or England win the World Cup? I'd still say SCFC promoted, club over country any day of the week. Would you get an NUFC tattoo if guaranteed back-to-back promotion to the Premier League? No. And last ever meal. Oh, that's a hard one. I had to think about this. Probably a Sunday dinner, like a really good carvery style Sunday dinner. Or Christmas dinner. We'll go with Christmas dinner. You can't go wrong with that. Stephen Hensel. Well done, Mara. Thank you, mate. I've met Stephen a couple of times. Quality guy. First SCFC game, and why do you support Sunderland? The first one I can remember was when we lost 2-0 to Liverpool in 2011, in March 2011. Under Steve Bruce, we lost 2-0, and it was basically the one where Liverpool got... Sorry, the dogs are barking. It was the one where Liverpool basically got a controversial penalty which really shouldn't have stood. So, yeah, we lost. We proceeded to lose 2-0. Luis Suarez skinned us that day. And why do I support Sunderland? Simple as that. My mum basically was a Sunderland fan in her latter years before she passed away, sadly, and was a big Sunderland fan for whatever reason. And I think that if I was going to be into any team, it would have been Sunderland, really. And my uncle obviously is one of the biggest Sunderland fans I know. So I think it was more down to family inspiration. It's the same generic reasons, family, I suppose, and I would have got disowned if I supported anyone else. But there you go. Thank you, though, Stephen. Glenn Jones, where do you see SFC in 5 to 10 years' time? Well, certainly by the end of 10 years, I'd expect us to be comfortable in the Premier League, but we'll wait and see. Hopefully with that, but it'll take a long time to get there, unfortunately. Right, Jack Dixon. Right, now this one caused me a bit of bother. Basically, since I've started following, what was the best and worst Sunderland sides? After deliberation, because obviously we've had our fair share of awfulness throughout the last decade, so you can blame me, it's my fault. We also have had some gems, so I'm going to go with the best 11 first. Now, this is kind of off the top of me. It took me a while to debate this, so please tell me if I'm missing out anyone. I know I'm missing a couple of players out here. I've got Pickford, Bardsley, Kabul, Corney, Alonso, so a flat back four with a goalkeeper behind them, obviously. Probably a 4-3-3 formation, this. Henderson, Kirchhoff, Sessegnon behind a front three of Jan, Welbeck and Defoe. I would have loved to have seen that as a team together in the Premier League. And the worst, oh God, you have some competition here. Okay, I've gone with a back five here because I couldn't think of many other midfield options here. Worst, Camp, Desena, Dillabodji, Cuellar, Mark Wilson, Donald Love, Jack Rodwell, Ove Ajari. I know that's going to be a controversial one, but from what I saw of him, he didn't do enough. And considering he came from Liverpool, I expected a bit more than that. Considering we were competing at the bottom end of the Championship when the quality isn't very good. And a front three of Altidore, Danny Graham and James Vaughan. Altidore and Graham, Altidore and Graham, I do still at least hold, in terms of, as people, hold them in high enough regard because they seem decent people. James Vaughan's just an idiot. But yeah, Christ, and Lee Camp, how he still Birmingham fans, how he gets a game for you, I don't know. But you might have a different opinion to me. The Mad Mistake, top job, mate, you deserve it. Cheers, man. I don't need to advertise Mad Mistake. He's one of the bigger YouTubers on here. He's mental, but he's funny. I watch him. And obviously he's part of our SCFC Fan TV panel. What year, age did you start following Sunderland and why? Well, like I said, for the why, family reasons, through my mum before she passed away and through my uncle, really, and I would have got disowned if I supported anyone else. What year and age? Oh, Christ. So that would have been 2011, and if I'm right, I would have been 20, I think. Just round about 20 years old when I started following Sunderland, so yay for me sins, right? And I will say, if you're up there, ma'am, thanks very much for making me support these idiots and making me be stuck with them for the rest of my life. Cheers. Come on, you dons. I think she's a woman. I think she's someone who subscribed to me very recently, so thanks very much for that. Who or what inspired you to do football vlogs rather, and SCFC expectations this season? With regards to the expectations, simple, promotion, whatever way you do it. And who or what inspired me to do football vlogs? True Joy, actually. When I remember watching when Newcastle lost 6-1 at City. This was the year they had McLaren, the year they got relegated. They lost 6-1 at Man City, and True Geordie, I'd watched his videos for a while, but he basically came across as someone quite dejected, actually. Someone who felt that, he was dejected with the fact that Newcastle weren't punching at their weight in the Premier League. And to be fair, he was right. But for me, I didn't see much of that narrative regarding Sunderland, and I thought, for years before then, so this was 2015 we're talking here, before then I basically got under the assumption that Sunderland were underachieving just by settling for fourth bottom in the Premier League, and I still stand by that, even though we are in League One now. And I did think that, why can't I do that? So I started to try and get the narrative going of, come on, we should be better than this, we should be holding the club to accountable here. Other clubs who are, for want of a better word, smaller, even, they've come out and deservedly done better than us, by the way. But I thought, well, if the likes of, Burnley can get into the top 7, if Palace can get into the top 10, if Leicester can win the Premier League, I'm not expecting someone to ever be anywhere near the top of the Premier League. That's delusional. But it's unrealistic. But I just thought, if those guys can do better, then why shouldn't we? And that's basically what inspired me to start going. And then since then, about 4 years later, I'm at 1,000 subs. I'll quickly point out as well, like over a year ago, early into last season, my sub count was around about the 400 mark, I think. So my sub count has more than doubled in the last year. That's insane. Thank you to everybody, but it's insane. But there you go. So long-winded answer to your good question. Joseph Melvin, favourite Sunderland player throughout your time supporting the club? Probably Jermaine Defoe. I mean, even for the fact that he was a lethal goal scorer on the pitch, and he was a lethal goal scorer in a side that barely created any chances. What he did with Bradley Lowry was just phenomenal. Elevated him as a bloke, let alone a footballer. Mark, no, I'm going to pronounce his name wrong, I'm sure, so I apologise in advance. Mark McAuliffe, I think that's how I said it right. Who would you want to sign in January, realistically? Marcus Maddison is someone I've said I wanted. Whether that's real, that should be realistic, really. But there you go. I can't think of anybody else. I really can't think of anyone else. I'd have to probably watch more of the football between now and January in League One to make a definitive opinion on that. I wouldn't be against someone of Championship standard coming here, but are you going to attract them to League One? We'll see what happens in January, mate. And finally, Youngie264. This was today, actually, mate. So there you go. Congratulations on 1,000 subs. Thank you very much. And the question, favourite away stadium you've been to? Oh, crikey. Okay, I've been to quite a few stadiums. I'd have to think off the top of my head here. I've been to Man United. I've been to Everton. Oh, God, this is Actually, I'll tell you what. Probably in terms of the whole day, I'd probably say Preston. I don't know what it is. I like the layout of Preston's ground, but that was probably down to the fact that we walked through Preston. Me and Pete went to Preston a couple of years ago on the train, and we walked there together pretty much. And I actually liked it. It was a very good day out. I think Preston's was quite nice ground. I don't know what it is. I've got a very strong attachment to Preston's. So that's a very strange answer, but there you go. Right, and the last few questions is on Twitter. So first of all, one of my best mates, CJ Mackham Dude. I've sort of shortened his tweet down a bit. So this is on Twitter. Would you have got into footy earlier when Reid was manager? Now, he claims the first division titles were 96, 99, and twice we finished 7th in the Premier League. Well, if I'd been into football then and I got into it the way I did now, and if I was into it the way I am now, then who knows? Possibly, but it's easy to ask that question. That's over 20 years ago. Probably not. I didn't really have a culture of someone following football when I grew up, so probably not, no. I wish I was into football then, but probably wouldn't have happened. At False Mad. Thoughts on Phil Parkinson? From what I've seen, many seem to be underwhelmed. Well, like I answered at the start, I think that Phil Parkinson's not the worst choice, not the best choice we could have got, but I think he's far from the worst. If he gets us promoted, that's the end of the game, really. He's done his job. Right, Spooky James at Baghdad Coca-Cola. Thoughts on Martin Scorsese's comments on the MCU. So for those of you who don't know, the MCU is the Marvel Cinematic Universe. So you've got Iron Man, Captain America, Thor, Hulk, Black Widow, Hawkeye, Guardians of the Galaxy, Doctor Strange, Spider-Man, Black Panther, all the malarkey that you've got there. And I've missed out a few superheroes, I'm sure. Ant-Man as well. Captain Marvel, and so on. Sorry, for those of you who don't know, Martin Scorsese basically made a comment saying that the MCU movies, to him, aren't cinema. There was something along the lines of expensive action figure movies or whatever it was. Look, I mean, Martin Scorsese is one of the best, most respected filmmakers out there. But for me, I think he's entirely wrong. Obviously on a literal level, because it is cinema. It's made over 23 movies, for goodness sake. I think that the MCU is one of the biggest achievements in the history of film, that you've managed to get together 4 or 5 different franchises, and you've managed to get them into a crossover series, which involves 23 films. And I think it's incredible the way that it's been done. And Kevin Feige deserves massive credit for that. Massive credit for the way that he steadied he's captained the ship, so to speak, and really sort of given us what we have now as the MCU. Honestly, it's an incredible achievement. So Martin Scorsese, I mean, the only 2 movies of Scorsese that I've seen are The Departed and Shutter Island, and neither of which I particularly liked. And I know I haven't seen his best movies, so I do need to probably sit down and watch them. But the type of movies he seems to do, which is crime dramas and all that, it just isn't my thing. It's not my genre of movie. But hey, look, he's got his opinion, but I just think he's wrong. And finally, Jam Sarni has saved him deliberately till the end. Right, these are a bunch of quick-fire questions to round off the video. What shoe size are you? 12. Favourite Pokemon? No comment. Don't like Pokemon. Think it's overrated. Here's a controversial comment of the video. Do you like hot or cold weather? Probably prefer warm weather. I'll cheat there a little bit. Right or left? Right-handed. Up or down? Up. Probably because I've had to be an animal. I want to be a bird. I want to see the sights, even though I'm afraid of heights, which contradicts itself completely. Boobs or bum? Oh God, I forgot you asked this. I used to be the latter, but I think I'm probably now the former, but I won't complain with either. So if there's any girl who's demented enough to want to go out with me, there you go. I'll refer you back to this video. So thanks, Joel. FIFA or Pez? FIFA. Jam Sarni or Jam Sarni? Jam Sarni wins. And he said, and obviously he put on his tweet, okay, I'm done. Now get the Q&A out tonight. Honestly, when I read that question, he made me laugh ridiculously. Thank you to everybody who asked me questions. If you have further questions, I'll probably try and answer them in the comments. Thank you to Ask the Questions. Thank you for the 1,000 subscribers. Thank you for the support, the overwhelming support that people seem to give me. Even though, again, all I seem to do is just pretty much just hold a camera and talk for about 2 or 3 minutes. But people seem to like what I'm saying, so I'm not going anywhere for you sad souls. Thanks again, guys. I'll love yous and leave yous, and I'm going to sit and I'll probably be there with a match reaction. I'm not at Wickham, unfortunately, but I will be watching the game. I am going to Shrewsbury, though, so I'm looking forward to that. And I'll see you guys on Saturday for a review of the Wickham game. Thanks again for the questions. Thanks for the support. Thanks for everything you've done, and I'll see you all later. Ta.